guys are doing with Sauna out here. So take me back to the beginning of what got you interested, because you're from New York, and tell me how you got into sauna and where did that start for you?
Well, that was an impressionable time in my life. I went to Ithaca College, upstate New York, and I took a junior year abroad program, and just absolutely fell in love with Europe and so many different cultural elements to it, specifically Scandinavia. After graduation in 1985, I went back to Europe and put my college degree to great use, picking grapes in Germany and then meeting my buddy at Copenhagen train station at 12 noon, and we spent the entire summer of 1985 up in Scandinavia, and we found ourselves on an island in the Baltic, working with Tome and Gunnar, redoing Gunnar's uncle's house on an island in the Baltic. And every night we would finish work, come down off the scaffolding and hop in the boat and go to his other uncle's island, where Tome and I would fire up the sauna stove, and Gunnar and my American friend John would clean perch and flounder from the Baltic Sea and boil potatoes, have a little beer and vodka, and sauna like I've never sauned before. I had known sauna a little bit in America from, say, a health club, but I did not know the richness and how great sauna can be in nature, with wood fired, in that environment, and it stuck with me ever since.
So just to let all the listeners know, we are in the middle, I wouldn't say the middle, but we are in Minneapolis, and so we're probably the middle of Minnesota.
Yeah, we are in the heart of Minneapolis. This is 4700 Nicollet, for those that may know Minneapolis. It is the heart of Minneapolis, and you're going to hear some planes going overhead, no question. We're only about 15 minutes from the Minneapolis airport, and 10 minutes just straight. You can get on the bus right from where we're sitting and go right downtown. It's a very urban spot where we are, Bill.
Yeah, and so all the background noise you can hear is a traditional city. So I got into sauna by listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast, and so Tim had Rick Rubin on it, and he was interviewing him, and they were in a cold plunge, and then this is right shortly either before or after Wim Hof was on, who's the Iceman, they call him. So I went out to Poland and got trained on Wim's ice plunging, and then I've been on a mission to wrap that with the benefits of sauna. And so, what have you seen has been the predominant health benefits?
You boys got a sweat going.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to it. The thermogenesis thing is so parallel with sauna as it relates to Wim's cold plunge experience. It's about opening the pores and opening the blood vessels and increasing of circulation. There's all kinds of studies that are speaking about the benefits of cold immersion, the hot and cold. And you and I each share this common thing, in that we've each had Wim on each of our podcasts. And he's been a great inspiration for me as well, because he brings forth the other half, the yin to the yang of sauna. He's a huge sauna fan himself. And I find that sauna is the hack to enjoy the cold plunge, because I'm pretty hardy, and growing up, in upstate New York, I'm no stranger to cold water. Living in Minnesota, I'm certainly no stranger to cold water. But the idea that one can sit in a sauna and get super hot and then enjoy the cold water, to me takes things up a notch, and I enjoy the cold plunge experience so much more through sauna.
So I think for most listeners who are sitting here thinking, well, I have a sauna at my health club. I go to YMCA, or I go to my gym, and I have a sauna there. So what's the big deal? And it'd probably be good for you just to take a moment or two to explain the difference that we're talking about between this Finnish sauna type environment and sort of your health club traditional environment.
Well, there's a couple directions on that question that I could respond to. I could speak about thermal bathing globally. Mikkel Allen's book, he's been on the podcast, Sweat, is a great resource for those that are interested in sweat bathing and the practice of thermal bathing globally. The Finnish sauna is one iteration, and if you really wind the clock back and think about the man, thousands of years ago, when we harnessed fire, it wasn't soon thereafter where we realized that we could take, a fire and heat rocks and then roll these rocks under a tent with animal skins and enjoy what we now know today as sauna. And that iteration has been applied through many cultures through millennia here, where you have the Temescal from the Mayan culture, the Haman and the Turkish adaptation of it, and the Russian banya itself. You can, in the Asian cultures as well, you can dot all across the globe different adaptations of what is really basically fundamentally a traditional sauna. That said, the Finns have been enjoying the sauna bathing practice for, they say, a few thousand years. And I think the Finnish sauna has gained a lot of popularity in modern culture because it really is the most pragmatic and practical adaptation of sauna bathing. Did I get that question?
Yeah, and I think that, so just to put it in perspective, I didn't know this, but I think there's 3 million people in Finland.
5.5 million.
5.5
million people, yeah.
And then how many saunas are there?
Over 3 million.
Over 3 million.
Yeah. So
in the U.S., how many in the U.S. saunas?
I don't have
a million. I think I read this morning. It was
okay.
A million.
Okay. Very good.
Saunas in the U.S.
And we have what? 300 million people.
300 million.
Yeah. So the other aspect to your question is, what is sauna, right? Like for many of your listeners, hey, there's a sauna at the health club. There's a sauna at the hospital or the hotel where you may be staying or what have you. And that is one element to sauna that is kind of an introductory to the sauna experience. And that's fine, that's great. After a workout, if you're at the gym and you step into their sauna and experience that, you're getting something and you're getting somewhere with the experience. But we take it to a much deeper level with what I'm all involved in and what I'm doing, and I could get into the nuances of the differences if you're interested.
Yeah, I would like. Well, let's talk about the difference, because I think that it'd be good to dispel for everyone, so that when someone steps into the glass door sauna, the traditional one, or at the health club, and for those of you, everybody listening, I'm in a mobile sauna right now, right? And so Eric is off to the corner of the master craftsman that put together this one here. And I know you guys have a collaborative arrangement with you and your local team here. But let's talk about what the differences are.
Yeah, so this is a tough one in that it's important. I want to become more like a Finlander to answer that question. And the Finns are very respectful to what is sauna, and I give them a lot of credit because it's very dear to their culture, and I find them very generous about not throwing under the bus the health club sauna, so to speak. Okay, now there are potentially and probably some really decent health club saunas, but to be non-Finn about my answer and be American about my answer, the American saunas, well, Mikkel Allen says it well. He says, in America, 90% of the saunas are bad and the other 10% are worse. And this has to do a lot with the cheapening of the experience, as well as some of the legal rules that have to be followed at a health club. And where I'm going with that is there's a limit. First of all, they're all electric stoves, which can be good, but a problem with electric is that it's very hard to create the thermal mass, the heat mass, the density to heat these massive amount of rocks.
So we're looking right now at a wood burning Kuma, K-U-M-A.
K-U-U-M-A, which means hot in Finnish.
And this is a Minnesota company that produces this bad boy, and this has real rocks on it and real wood.
Yeah, a lot of density, a lot of heat mass is created both from the combustion of the wood, which is done very efficiently, by the way. With an armful of wood, you can get this sauna up to 180, 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temp that I enjoy, and create really heat mass. And for You know, for those that may understand, like the idea of a house heated with forced air compared to a house heated with radiant, where the whole heat mass of the floor is warm,
Sure.
I think you get a sense of how heat is not heat. 180 is not 180. And this gets very nuanced and maybe hard for others